Welcome to IT Chronicles 10 and Tech from Knowledge 2017. I'm Shane Carlson, here with my co-host Carlos Casanova.
Hey, Shane.
And with us today we have Robert Fedoruk from Whitespace Studios. Robert, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So talk to us a little bit. I've seen you tweeting out a lot talking about SIAM and e-bonding for integrations. Talk to us a little bit about what you guys are doing with that.
Yeah, so we've kind of been fascinated with this. You know, in all the IT academic circles, we use the term SIAM, Service Integration and Management, quite a bit. But if you asked anybody at this conference, are you interested in SIAM, very, very few people would nod their heads. They'd be like, yeah, maybe, I don't know. But if you ask them if they're interested in integrations, they're going to be very vigorously nodding their heads and, in fact, looking for robust solutions to help them with their integration problems. And so a lot of what Whitespace is doing is bringing new solutions, uncommon solutions to very, very common problems within that space.
Excellent. Yeah, and I think another framing of that would be if you walk through that room right now and ask every customer that was in there if they are only dealing with a single vendor or a single supplier in their IT supply chain, you know, none of them would say yes. I mean, everyone's dealing with cloud vendors, they're dealing with global service providers, they're dealing with technology vendors, security. You name it. I think the average number of vendors that a customer deals with today, I think I saw a report not too long ago that said an average of 9, and in some cases, you know, customers are in the 20s if they're a large global entity. Yeah. You know, what are you guys seeing in some of the best ways to handle some of those multiple service providers and the integrations that come with it?
Well, what was really concerned us and what drove us to build some apps for the store that address this need specifically is that because people don't start off by saying, I'm really interested in SIAM, and then do their integrations, right? They usually start a few years back with that one vendor, that one critically important vendor. They build the integration. The next year, that worked pretty well. Let's build another one. Every single time, they build that integration bespoke.
From scratch.
And I will bet you $5 whole American dollars that 95% of all ServiceNow integrations that are out there are completely scratch built.
I would agree with that, having been in that space.
Yeah. Exactly. Right. So what happens, right, is these things start destabilizing. The bond isn't quite robust enough, or it doesn't do quite what we want. So now we have to paradrop in really, really uniquely skilled people to come in and alter it, to fix it, to back engineer it, to tell us what we. And you know what? The really funny thing is, you know, I had this one customer. And they wanted us to help them with integrations, and we asked them how many integrations they had.
Did they have the answer?
Some.
Yeah.
We have some integrations. And so there's really a problem around quantifying and managing integrations. And so, you know, we're bringing to market a framework for managing the integrations.
So Robert, I mean, I guess I want to back up a little bit. So you said a lot of the folks on the floor basically don't know SIAM, but they know integration. I guess why is that? Because I mean, SIAM isn't, you know, it wasn't introduced in January 2017.
Right.
So why is it that maybe they don't know about that? Is it just a marketing perspective? Because it's a framework that's, you know, immensely valuable to them.
Yeah, it is super valuable. I think you just have to know there's a potential problem before you move, and people are already moving before they realize that there's a problem. It's I've discovered it's a very academic term, like the academics of the space, all the brilliant Oxalos people, you know, all the ITIL people, they say SIAM because they're talking about it in an academic sense. Right. But boots on the ground is these, you know, middle managers, directors, and they're just being told, hey, you know, we gotta, you know, when you get a ticket in for what have you, security, HR, whatever, that ticket has to go to our vendor. Right, and so the idea of like, oh, well, that's SIAM, it's not entering their heads, it's just let's get it done.
I found it, and I've spent a lot of time talking to people about SIAM and things of that nature, and depending on their familiarity with some of the more academic terms, you kind of have to frame it appropriately for them around, you know, the multi-providers and that sort of thing, and the degree of difficulty from technical integration point of view. What are you guys doing to kind of cut through all of that academia and you know, get people to understand the value and what you're bringing to the table?
Well, we don't. I mean, we don't talk to them in terms of like, here's a SIAM solution. We might, depending on the customer, say, you know, this can support a SIAM initiative. But really, we're about like, how painful is it that you're 5 years into this journey and you can't really answer the question of what integrations do you have? Or, you know, why are you out there constantly looking for better and better integration solutions? Because you're sick of dealing with these things one at a time in a bespoke manner. And so you're seeing a lot of different strategies for this problem emerge. So you have vendors that are like, well, maybe we're not dedicated to ServiceNow, but we stand in the middle and we integrate anything to anything within your environment. Then you have the other strategy, which is kind of very simple canned integrations. Like, here is the integration between ServiceNow and Atlassian product of your choice, or ServiceNow and Jira or HP. And so, but they're very just canned, right? And what we're trying to do is give you all the flexibility and robustness of a custom-built integration that's perfectly tailored to you, but also within a framework that makes sure all the error handling is centralized, all the bond management is just exquisite.
Gives you a lot of repeatability and sustainability. I'm going to switch gears on you here. So obviously we're at ServiceNow Knowledge 2017. A big part of every Knowledge that I've ever been to for at least the last 6 or so years has been the hackathon.
Oh boy, here we go.
How many hackathons have you been in?
I've been in all of them. All of them that were at Knowledge, or way back in the day when Fruition had the FruDevCon. So the only ones I haven't been in.
The original hackathon.
The original, yeah. So the only ones I haven't been in were the European ones.
Yeah. Okay. So of those entries, that's half a dozen or so. How many of those have you won, or been on the part of a winning team there? Come on. Brag a little.
No, it's not me. Like, it's my only strength is that I pick good teams.
Yes.
But yes, I've won 4.
4.
Carried across the finish line with the power of my team.
Outstanding. And you won again this year in your team. Who was on that team?
We did win tonight. So on my team this time was James Neal, Tim Short, Hugh Nolan, and myself.
So pretty much it was the Whitespace Studios.
It was the Whitespace Studios team.
Excellent. Yeah. Excellent. Well, congratulations, guys.
Thank
that was actually a pretty good win. I know this is a pretty big Knowledge for you. You guys came here. You launched a new company in a pretty short amount of time. You hit Knowledge pretty hard. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Well, Robert, thank you for joining us. I mean, great. And again, congratulations, as Shane just said, on that thing, and I wish you the best with Whitespace. I think there's great opportunity. I mean, I see it also from an MSP perspective.
Yeah.
Great opopportunities there. I wish you all the best.
Yeah, all of our customers, like the customers that are coming the fastest are the MSPs.
Yeah, as soon as you said that, it was like, I mean, I've been in several clients that's their biggest challenge. It's with their MSIs that on the back end have multiple pieces. So I
thanks again, Robert. Always great when we have people to fill these chairs.
Thanks, Shane.
Thank you so much.